Welcome to Your American Dream. Today we're doing something a little different. For the past year, Your American Dream has been a space for immigrant women entrepreneurs to share their stories, their challenges, their grit, their joy, and their journeys. These conversations have been powerful, vulnerable, and deeply human. And at the center of them all is the woman who made it possible, who asked the questions, created a welcoming environment, and made sure each voice was heard. I'm Laura Kimball, the podcast editor and woman behind the scenes. For the past year, I've had the privilege of listening closely to every episode, shaping them from raw audio to the stories you've come to love. And let me tell you, being this close to each voice, each dream, has been nothing short of inspiring. So today, I get to step in front of the mic and interview the host herself. We're celebrating 1 year of amplifying immigrant women's voices by hearing from the woman who made it all possible, what this year has meant, what it's taught her, and what's next for this growing community. Let's begin this special conversation. Hello, Anisha. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you today.
Thank you so much. That was such a beautiful intro and you made me so emotional. I'm trying to keep it together so we can get through this episode. But thank you so much for that, for all the work you do. And I'm so grateful to have you in my life and helping me behind the scenes.
I love doing all of it. And I've learned so much with you. And honestly, every episode I listen to just inspires me. It really does. So for the past year, you've been holding space for others to share their stories. Today, it's your turn. How does it feel to be the one answering the question?
It's a little different. It feels more stressful because, I just ask the questions and then I let them roll. My guests will answer and I'm just pretty much just steering the conversation and helping them share their story and make sure they're able to share whatever has brought them this far and inspire the others. It's a little different, but I'm liking it because I'm having this conversation with you, so I'm not as nervous.
Amazing. Okay, so let's start by going back to the very beginning. Every journey has a beginning, and this one started with a spark. What inspired you to start Your American Dream?
So what happened was when I started the business, Jennings Tech Corner, where we build websites for health and wellness entrepreneurs and Christian coaches, my mentor, Brianna Kane, she mentioned that, you got to be more in front of your audience. You got to start talking more. You got to show up where people can see you. And I'm like, I'm not an Instagram, Facebook person. Being in front of the camera is really hard. So I don't know what to do. So she's like, we had this one-on-one discussion and she was like, you're so passionate about being an immigrant woman and the movement that you're creating. You need to bring that story out. So maybe start a podcast. So I knew from a while, probably my 20s, that I would have a powerful story and I would want to share it with the world. I didn't know at that time what it was or what it looked like, but I knew I was made for more. God was calling me to step into something more. So it was just that feeling that I want to share my story with the world. I just didn't know how, when, where, what was going to happen. So when she mentioned maybe start a podcast, so that was like, oh, that's a great idea. Maybe, I'm just going to practice sitting in front of the camera and talking into the camera. So it was really hard, but that's how it started. Basically, just the thought of sharing my story and hoping that it helps someone who wants to take the big leap, who wants to take that step, but is just, doesn't know where to start or is fearful, to know that we're here and that's what this community is for, to support everybody.
And that's so true. It's been a total evolution, right? Since the beginning. I love it. Yes. What was your biggest fear before you started or before you launched?
Just staying in front of the camera. Because, when I started, I would turn off when I was in meetings, I was the person who turned off my camera and I would participate. But then I was like, just shy, being camera shy. And I'm a very private person. I don't put my life on Instagram. It's very rare, like probably Christmas or Easter. You'll see me post one post of the family on Facebook or Instagram. So for me to come in front of the camera and actually talk or just sharing my life story, that itself was the biggest fear I had. And also, okay, what am I saying? What am I going to say? What are people going to think? Is this too much information? Is this less information? Is this going to resonate with anybody? Is this not going to resonate with anybody? So I said, you know what? I'm just going to do it. If it resonates with people, so be it. If it doesn't, I'm just going to keep going and see where this takes me. So yeah, that was my biggest fear.
Well, I can appreciate that because everyone is the fear of the camera for sure until you start practicing.
Yes.
And then for me to be in your position in front of the camera, I feel stressed out about doing this with you and messing up. So we both get it, right? And
yes,
anybody that hasn't done this can now appreciate probably as well just how much work it is to put yourself out there, definitely, and have the flow happening, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so many times it has so happened that, my conversations with my guests, I try to make it as organic as possible. Like, I don't give them questions in advance. So it's like they don't know what to expect. I don't know what to expect. We're just there, having like a coffee chat. And sometimes the questions I prepare doesn't even flow with the conversation we are having. So I literally need to come up with questions on the spot. And sometimes it's like I exhaust my questions. So it's like a challenge trying to keep up, being there, being present, and asking the questions that would help me bring their story to the platform. So yeah.
So true. So your voice and the voices you amplify, which is what you just discussed, are deeply rooted in identity. So let's talk about the heart of your mission. Why was it so important for you to focus specifically on immigrant women entrepreneurs?
So, number one, I am one, and when I'm trying to share my story, I was trying to figure out what would be the story that would resonate with people and where do I feel called, or what do I want to achieve with my podcast? Which is basically that I wanted to share how I took the leap of faith, and how I moved, and how definitely I had my family supporting. My parents have been, a strong pillar for me. So just how I've moved. And there were times when I thought, hey, I wish somebody told me this, Yes, I came to the US. Yes, I had to start all over again. But I wish somebody told me about this piece. Or, hey, I had a visa issue. I wish somebody told me about this. Obviously, you can get all this information online. It's like, nothing is hidden. But to have someone share real life stories of what it is like, and not just to share all the rosy picture of, hey, now we're in the US, we have a business, it's hard. But just to have that platform to talk about the real difficult parts or your story, that was why I started it, because I was like, if I share my story, and even if it can inspire one person back in my home country to be like, hey, she did it, so I can do it. Or, hey, we have this community. Maybe I reach out to them. Maybe I ask them. And also, I've had many people in the past, because I've been in the teaching space. I've taught for 6 years in an engineering college. I've had people reach out asking, hey, what should be my next step? If I did go to US, what would that look like? Or should I go to the US? Should I leave the country? Should I do this? Should I do that? So I figured bringing a platform and being able to answer those questions, not just from my perspective, but from my guests and from people who have lived that life, would be a great place to start. So that's how it all started.
That's wonderful. And honestly, you've had such a variety of guests on your show, from lawyers to artists to jewelry designers, dentists, and all of those women show a broad spectrum of how anyone can become an immigrant, with any kind of skill set or experience and education.
Absolutely.
So there've been so many memorable episodes, but a few must stand out. So what was a moment where you thought, this is why I do this?
Honestly, every episode. I would definitely say, every episode has been so different, so special, and everybody brought something to the table that it was like, wow, I didn't know this. Oh, wow, this is a great experience. So each one of them had so much to share, and it was just very interesting to see how all of them we have a common theme, which is hard work, resilience, grit, identity, issues of, hey, we belong, do we not belong, this country, that country, home country, not country, languages, all of we had like common themes. but to see how every single guest was unique, was special, and they brought in their own talents, they brought in their own stories, their experiences. It was just like I told many of my guests, this is why I do this, is because of you guys. You guys keep me going, and I just get to network with these lovely ladies who share their story, who have done so much with their life, and their stories are all very, very inspirational. So at times when I'm not feeling it, I don't feel like showing up, and I'm like, oh, it's Friday, I got to record my podcast. But then I'm like, hey, once I'm in the middle of the episode, I'm like, okay, this is why I do it. It energizes me, it inspires me, and helps me keep going. I hope I answered that question.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel just, editing them, that every episode has many nuggets of support, help, their stories, inspiration, so many different parts you can take out of it, no matter
Yes.
what your background is, really, and
Absolutely.
definitely as a woman, they all resonate, just how hard that they all work to get to where they are. So
Absolutely.
it's really impressive.
And I've also had people tell me that even though they're not immigrants, they still have so much to take away from each episode. So I feel like that is a good thing because, yes, I'm focusing on immigrant women, women of color, but it's only because I am one and I'm trying to build this platform of supporting each other. But to know that there are other listeners who are not immigrant women or women of color, but they are also getting some takeaway from each episode, that makes my heart happy.
Oh yeah, always. Definitely. There's always something that for sure that I can take away. And I think it just empowers women to reach for their dreams. As cliche as that sounds, it really does. You have to work hard, and when you work hard, it will pay off. And I think that that's sort of definitely a theme that's there, as well as the other themes that you talked about.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. So how has hosting this podcast changed you as a person?
Confidence. Like I've had a couple of friends tell me, oh, you talk different now. You show up different, and we've learned that through our mentor that, the more you show up, the more you do something. And we've heard it our entire life. Practice makes perfect, right? So just showing up and knowing that I have this episode to record, or it has built in discipline. I show up differently. Now I'm not shy being on Zoom calls. I'm on with my camera unless, I'm in the middle of eating lunch or something like that. But I am showing up very differently. I have been able to talk more confidently, and it has also inspired me as an entrepreneur. You know this too. We deal with so many ups and downs in our business journey where some days it's like, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I want to do this. I am ready to give up. I'm ready to shut down my business. But then I think about, some of these guests, something that they would have said just, sticks in my mind. And I'm like, wow, if they can do it, I can do it too. I'm not alone. Right. And then you just reach out to your friends, to family, or you talk to someone, or just your business friends, you talk to them and be like, hey, I'm having a rough day, I don't know how I'm gonna do this, or I don't feel good enough, and you're always there for each other. Like you are there for me,
and you are there for me as well.
Yes.
So beyond downloads and listens, this podcast has created real connection. Let's talk about what that impact looks like. So what kind of feedback or messages have meant the most to you?
Most of my guests have said, we've not seen a platform like this. Thank you so much for creating the space for us to share our story. Like people have shared their stories at different times and in different, small chunks of their story. But to get to tell their full story from coming into the country or from when they were their early life to now as an entrepreneur, that has been different, right? So people are able to share their entire story, they have a platform to talk about, and my listeners have said, you have so many different women and they are doing such amazing work, and just to learn from each of them, no matter what the field they're in, whatever is their expertise, but to know that, there are people who have similar experiences, and to know that you're not alone, and to know that, you have this community, you have this support, that has been really, really, it's really very special to me when some of my listeners will reach out and say, hey, you did a great job there, and you're doing great with the interviewing. And I don't think I am, but I'm like, okay, thank you. Because I don't go back and like, because I've been shy, right? So now I'm like, I'm just having a coffee chat. I'm just chatting with them and then I'm moving on. But to listen back to that saying, oh, that was great. And such a guest did such a great job. It was so inspiring to hear that person's story. She did such a great job with her business. Oh, such a great idea. And I love what she's doing. Hey, I got to see her product when I was going grocery shopping and I immediately thought of you. These are moments that really make me feel very grateful and thankful that we're here now, 1 year later.
So good. So have you ever seen or heard direct outcomes for your guests after being on your show?
Not yet. I haven't, but I've definitely seen people connecting with each other. And I've seen a lot of people be like, hey, she was on your show. I know her. And, having those little connections that they're building up the connections, or they know that somebody they know was on the show. And so now they're really excited to be on the show. But yeah, it's been a year. So we'll see how the impact grows. But for now, it's more like I feel just the stories are very inspirational and people are connecting with each other. Oh, I've had one person reach out and say she was grateful to be on the show because it gave her confidence in talking about her story, that confidence has now translated to her business and she feels so much more empowered. I think that is one feedback that I definitely received. And they tell me that, they love the idea, they like talking about their story and being able to, if they can inspire even one person back in their home countries or even America, they feel like they have achieved their goal.
Yes, that's so true. And, I was thinking as you were speaking that you've connected to a lot of them and are friends with most of them,
Yes.
now after the interview, which is wonderful.
Yes.
And also it's kind of a way that they can share their story, like, seeing a piece of art or seeing some jewelry or talking to the lawyer, you don't know their background.
Yes.
And so hearing where they came from and how they got to where they were and the success that they have is really impactful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And sometimes, like, for example, Adriana, she shared her artwork and I had no idea the amount of work that goes into her artwork till I heard her on the podcast while I'm interviewing her. And I meet this lady like, probably at least once a month at events. So I know the work she's doing. She's amazing. I love her. She's brilliant. But to know the depth and the hard work that goes behind that, because that's not what you get to hear or listen on a daily basis, but you see her artwork. It's amazing. You see her shows, you see her, showing up, and it's amazing. But then to know the background of it. And likewise, Dr. Michelle, the Thrive Dental Wellness episode, just learning more about how she conducts, her dentistry and how she is making a difference and how she views it made me want to go get an appointment with her, which I did. I did eventually. I know I spoke about it on the episode, but that's how I found my dentist, basically. So everybody has some sort of impact like that we don't get to hear about. These are two women that just came to my mind immediately, but each one of them has something or the other that you would not hear or see even on their about page. And that's something I ask my guests too. Is there something you want to tell me that I cannot find online in probably your LinkedIn or your about me or your social media? Is there something that you want to tell me? And they end up sharing their story. And it's amazing because that's what you want to bring to the audience, is for them to know the real deal, because we're not just trying to hype everything and say, hey, we're entrepreneurs, life is rosy, which is just the opposite, because there's so much to do. You're working, you love what you're doing, but there's also many challenges. There's many areas you need to think about. There's a lot of the business that you need to put your head in, and you're the only person working, unless obviously you have a team, but it's a lot of work.
And there's only so much of their story that they can easily share in social media or like on a brochure or something like that. This gives them 30 minutes to an hour of telling their story and how they got to where they were. So that's wonderful. Now I have kind of a little bit of a sideways question here. So do you have any funny or awkward behind the scenes stories, or even just, the nuances of technology that sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, anything to share with us?
Oh, yeah. So we've had so many Zoom calls. Sometimes we would get kicked out of the Zoom calls and then we recently moved to Riverside. So I would have my guests come on Zoom and then transition them to Riverside. We've started recording and the Riverside goes, they get kicked out. I've had an episode where I started recording and the person, she didn't have internet. She was doing it on her phone and then she had people in the background. So that was like, we had to reschedule. There was one episode that we recorded the entire episode, but not to have the final recording. So, you remember that we literally don't have any part of that recording, and it was just a great conversation. There have been times like that. There have been times where people are like, "Hey, can we pause a minute? I gotta let my dog out." Hey, or my son comes in and he's like, "Mama." So, there's been things like that, or somebody will be like, "Oh, can we pause a minute? Somebody's passing by my living room and I told them that I'm going to record, but nobody." So yeah, there has been, things like that. Overall, it's just so much fun because it's life, right? We're not trying to be perfect. We're trying to share our story. We have so many responsibilities as women, being a wife, being a mom, so it's fun to be part of all of that.
I think it's also wonderful that you give them the space that they feel comfortable that if their dog is barking and they know it's going to be an issue, that they can just be like, hold on, please edit this part out and then go do what they need to do. And that is life, right? That's all the things, all the hoops that we're all jumping through. And that's also like the life of you running this podcast through these video calls, right? You make it so accessible for anybody all over the US to meet with you and share their stories.
Yes, I have had people ask me, "Oh, do you have a studio that, we can record in?" And I'm like, I don't really have one now, maybe in the future, but how would that help me? Like, it would be great to have someone just, be in person and talk to them. But then how do I reach out to the people who can't be in person, right? So I just like this setup. I'm just sitting here. They're sitting in the comfort of their home or business office or whatever, wherever they are at. And they are able to hop on a call and we can record. So I like it.
Yeah, I think it works really well. The idea of flying people into your studio and having like studio production and all that stuff sounds so big, like huge. And maybe you will get there. But I think this way is a really great way for you to get, reach from one side of America to the other, and share those voices.
Absolutely.
So as you look towards the next chapter, what dreams and plans are you starting to take shape? So what's your dream for year 2? Let's start with that.
So I'm still going to have the same theme of interviewing immigrant women and women of color. We have a great lineup of guests for the next few months, and I can't wait to interview them. I've had a few people reach out asking if they can be a guest, so that's great. And I've had a few men want to be on my show as well. So I definitely have to give it a thought. But I'm like, right now, I guess, if I did start something else, I will consider you. But for now, it is women, and that's what we're trying to do. So just keep going is my plan because, things have been going great for the first year. And as we move, if something changes or something comes up where I feel like that needs to be heard or that voice needs to be heard or we need to do something different, I'm always open for learning, change, and flexibility. But overall, the goal is, to inspire our younger generation back in our home countries or America, or even if somebody has come in here as a legal immigrant and they want to do something, start a business, or they want to know more and they stumble upon my podcast, I hope they can find something that motivates them or helps them, or even find a friend, join the community.
Absolutely, for sure.
Yes.
So if you could tell your year 1 self one thing, what would it be?
Just go for it, dream big, and you're only limited by your own fear. And nobody really has the time to judge you. And all we are thinking about is, oh, what will somebody say or somebody think if they are listening to this? But not really. I don't think that should be what you should look at. You should just do what you are called to do. And everybody has a purpose in life. God has definitely not connected people randomly on earth. There's always divine intervention between people connecting with each other, me finding guests, or me just happening to speak to these people, or these guests arriving at just the right time to be a connection and be a blessing for me. Just trust the process, have faith in God, and just keep going.
Yeah. Keep working hard, right? That seems to
Yeah.
be definitely the theme. So before we wrap, I'm going to put you on the spot. And if you could sum up this past year in one celebratory sentence, what would it be?
Wow.
No pressure.
No pressure. Yes, I see that. Exemplary, extraordinary, and electric, I think. I don't know where that came from, but yeah,
I
I
love
would
it.
say
Oh, it's wonderful, for sure.
definitely. It's been a great experience, and just connecting with all these wonderful women and listening to their stories has given me so much faith and hope and inspiration and encouragement. And to know that sometimes I think that I'm doing this for others, but I feel like I'm just doing it for myself, because when they come on my show and talk about their lives, I feel like they're inspiring me, and I'm the one getting all the benefits from it. So it's just been an extraordinary experience.
It's incredible, actually, what can happen in 1 year,
Yes.
And hearing
Yes.
your reflections, like, it only adds to the impact that this podcast has really made, truly, for your listeners and your
Absolutely.
guests as well, everybody in the
Yes.
community.
I really, really appreciate my guests. I'm so grateful for them. I'm so thankful that they said yes. They believed in my mission, and they came on the show to share their story, because many of them had vulnerable stories and personal stories that they still decided to share. So I'm really grateful and thankful for my guests, and I'm really thankful to my audience for listening and tuning in for every episode and giving me feedback. I can't wait to hear more stories and how the podcast, impacts you, or whether you like it, you don't like it. Just hearing from them is it's very inspirational and very, very encouraging to hear from my audience. I would like to thank my parents for believing in me and letting me come to the US, because that was a huge deal at that time for them to know, to not know what is going on, why I'm all of a sudden at the age of 28, dropping everything, moving to the US for no reason at all. So in hindsight, now we know God had a plan, and, here I am. But I'm truly grateful to my parents for the support, and my dad, especially, for standing by me and for all the motivation, the advice, and answering all my questions whenever I asked a why. I'm so grateful for that. I'm very grateful to my husband, Joe, who has helped and support me and given me a lot of feedback during the initial episodes and helped me with recording me. And we had these fun times where I was like, no, that's not great. Let's record again. So I'm just thankful for everybody in my life and my church family, the community, and definitely my team. So, yeah.
And you know what? That is one resounding similarity between all of the podcasts, is they all talk about their families,
Yes.
they talk about their parents, and they
Yes.
talk about their community that they have now. So wonderful.
Definitely, I would love to thank my mentor, Brianna Kane, who helped me put this idea into reality.
So 1 year of episodes, over 50 women, and so many bold, beautiful dreams shared.
Yes.
After many conversations and many voices, one thing is clear. This podcast isn't just a show, it's a movement. In sharing these stories, you've created a space for visibility, for belonging, and for community among immigrant women building their businesses and their lives. Thank you for being part of this first year and for supporting these many stories that continue to inspire. And if you're an entrepreneur ready to build or refresh your online presence, Anisha also supports women through strategic, story-driven website design, helping turn business dreams into digital homes. You'll find more info in the show notes. Here's to year 2 and all the stories still to come. Congratulations, Anisha.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much again for stepping in and interviewing me.
Absolutely. Happy to do it. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Thank you.